Welcome back to the Out of the Rough podcast. My name is Nate, and joining me as always is my co-host Jake. Jake, how are we doing today?
Yeah, we're doing great. PGA Tour is back. DP World Tour is back into the swing of their season as well. So I'm excited. I'm not going to talk too much longer because we're going to get right into it here.
Yeah, it's great to be back here. The PGA Tour 1 week delayed than normal because typically we'd have the Century, but due to extreme drought and all of that, we are foregoing that event this year and we're moving straight into Sony Open Hawaii, which of course we'll be talking about here shortly with our full betting cards and all of that. And I guess, Jake, we have a big elephant in the room that we probably should touch on before we move into our content for both the DP World Tours you mentioned with the Dubai Invitational and the PGA Tour, Sony Open Hawaii. And that is Brooks Koepka's return to the PGA Tour. He'll be on tour as soon as the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines later this month. And in the same sense, there is a pathway back, a stipulation of sorts. It includes like a $5 million charitable donation. What is it? You can't qualify for the FedEx points for 2026 and a few other things along the way. But it's good to see, right? I don't think there is a golf fan that is disappointed in this. But Brooks Koepka is back and will play in golf on the PGA Tour within a month. And in the same sense, same fold, that same offer. We're not going to break down the whole. If you want to find the full offer, just hit up Google and you'll figure out what the full stipulations are. We're just trying to brief things here. But that same offer was extended to Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm, and Cam Smith. Now, Jake, first off, I'm sure you're happy to see Brooks Koepka back, and I think you're not going to be too mad about that. Do you think any of these other three do follow suit and join the PGA Tour again?
I do think that Bryson is probably going to consider it because there were some talks that his contract was coming due. They were ready to renew, and Bryson said, "Let's hold that horse here. Let's play my final year of my contract, and then we can discuss again." I think that means that he's going to weigh all of his options. I think if the Bryson domino falls, the Live domino the Live Tour, whatever you want to call it, is going to be absolutely smashed. Going to take a huge hit, losing arguably two of their top four names. Um, I think I saw some Twitter rumblings that Rom was not considering it at this time, but again, things change on the flip of a I don't know what the saying is, but things change very quickly. So it's something to keep an eye on, and I love it. I'm so excited to have Brooks back. I hope more guys come back to the PGA Tour and we get back to the old way of golf where it was just stacked field after stacked field, not just at these majors.
Yeah, and of course, John Rahm's a hard one because he has a $500 million contract with Live, like $500 million. It's kind of tough to turn something like that down to return to the PGA Tour. And now with Brooks falling, you think the money's going to go up because they're going to, grasp at the straws and try to keep these guys around. And that's kind of what Bryson's doing here, knowing that Brooks already left. They got to keep the big names around if they want to keep this tour going. And Bryson at this point is probably the main draw, of course, John Rahm and Cam Smith. But Cam Smith just kind of gave up on golf in the same sense. But I guess now from here, what do you do with the rest of the tour, right? These are the only four names they offer the stipulation to. Is they're going to find a different pathway back for these other guys? Do they have to do the full, if they want to come back to full year off instead of year out and all of that? Who knows? We'll see that domino fall, as you mentioned here, with Brooks coming back and everything else. But again, it's great to see, and I'm so excited here, not only with the PJ Tour starting, but that news as well to get Brooks and then hopefully someone else back on tour.
Yeah, and we have zero-time PGA Tour champion Ben On replacing Brooks Koepka on the Live Golf Tour. So goodbye, Ben On. Still zero PGA Tour wins. I hope that the money treats you well.
Yeah, that was one of those names that were rumbling for a while to join Live, even as far back as last year. So that one's finally happening. And Benyon, we don't have to waste our money betting him anymore.
Yep.
All right, Jake. Well, let's move forward here. We have people biting at the bits. I'm hoping at least to listen to what we have to talk about this week. Before we do hop in, Jake, where can people find you on social media?
Yep, you can find me on Twitter at JakeOOTR. I posted my outright betting card and article this week. You could also join the Out of the Rough Discord, which is completely free with no hidden paywalls. Our community has 250 plus members ranging from golf fanatics to professional gamblers, all contributing valuable insight that makes the Discord a super powerful resource to have at your fingertips for absolutely no cost. Nate runs a dedicated community wager tracker in the Discord where he compiles everyone's picks for the week into a nice list. It's a great way to see who on the community is backing what players, and then we get to celebrate and congratulate the people who hit winners that week. Nate and I also share some exclusive content in the Discord, including my tournament and round matchups and Nate's first round leader bets. feel free to reach out to Nate or myself for the link to join that. And be sure to check out ootrough.com for our weekly articles. Nate covers all of the tours, and I'll be posting my PGA Tour articles there, as mentioned before. The site also features Nate's shot gain putting by grass type. He's compiled that for everyone on there. Another completely free resource to have. That is what we're here to do, is to service you and to give you as many resources that we can for no cost whatsoever. So be sure to check that out.
For sure, for sure, for sure. You can follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at NateOOTR. Be sure to, again, visit our website. I do cover the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, Live Golf Tour, and LPGA Tour each and every week with full breakdowns of the course, event, and field, as well as my full betting cards for all tours mentioned there. Also, on our website, ootrough.com, you can find the One and Done, which is hosted each and every week, where you pick a different golfer, prize money, uses scoring. It's a free and fun tournament season long. You can play as much as you want, as little as you want, and hope you hit a winner and kind of keep yourself in contention. Or you can play late weekly. It's a nice way to, if you're not the biggest of golf fan, a free tool to help you follow along, get to know some more names you maybe you wouldn't have known prior by digging deep into it. And we do it for the PGA Tour, and new to this year is the DP World Tour. This is the third year for the PGA Tour, so come join us for that as well. And yeah, the Discord, great place to be. Can't say anything more about that. And then, of course, we also offer a weekly newsletter that's also free, where I compile all the content we offer each and every week, and we offer a exclusive to the newsletter, a full placement chart each and every week for the respective PGA Tour tournament, and that's a big draw as well. So if you're looking for that, hit us up with a good email address, and we'll get you added to the list. Okay, that's behind us, Jake. Here we go. 2026 season here for the PGA Tour is upon us with the Sony Open in Hawaii. This event dates back to 1965 and has been held at the Waialae Country Club ever since its inception. We have a nice field of 120 golfers here, four of which are ranked in the top 10 of the OWGR. We have Russell Henley leading the way as the fifth ranked golfer in the world, with JJ Spawn sixth, Robert McIntyre seventh, and Ben Griffin eighth, rounding out those top 10 players. Other notable players, we have Keegan Bradley, Colin Morikawa, Hideki Matsuyama, Maverick McNeely, Aaron Wright, and Chris Gotterup. Of course, Nick Taylor, defending champion, topping Nico Echevarria in a playoff a season ago. Taylor is back to defend his title. And some other former winners of the event teamed up this week include Siwoo Kim in 2023, Matsuyama in 22, Matt Kuchar in 19, Patton Kizzire in 2018, Russell Henley in 2013, Zach Johnson in 2009, and Vijay Singh in 2005. And that wasn't a mistake. That is correct. He is using his full money exemption to have a PGA Tour card this week, or this year, excuse me. Some speculate just for this week because he lives down there, but we'll see what comes of that. The course this week, I mentioned at Waialae Country Club, has been the host of this event since 1965, a par 70 at 7,020 yards, a Seth Rayner design that was opened in 1927. Of course, it's wall-to-wall Bermuda grass, and this course typically plays firm and fast on both the fairways and the greens, despite it being susceptible to coastal rainfall. It is best described as a tight, claustrophobic, and positional golf course that requires correct ball placement on each and every shot. In other words, long bombers off the tee won't see an advantage this week. This track features a multitude of dog legs and tight tree-lined fairways. The course features grown-out rough that adds to the importance of finding the fairway this week. It has been measured between 2.25 inches and has been grown out to 3 inches in other installments. With these tight fairways and persistent dog legs, approach shots from 125 to 200 will be of the norm this week. And of course, putting is a premium here at this golf course. 12 of the last 16 winners ranked within the top 10 in strokes gained putting per week. This is an exposed to the Hawaiian coast, and the severity of the wind will play its hand in how this week will play out. We've seen installments reach minus 20, and if the winds are a factor, like Cam Smith's victory in 2020, the score can be as low as minus 11. Season, we're kind of in the middle at minus 16 a season ago. And in terms of course history, this is one of those courses that course history is a huge factor in.
Yep.
This ranks up there with like Augusta National in terms of I don't know the correct stat term, but repeatable success of the golf course is very prominent here at Waialae Country Club. Jake, anything to add here?
No, I think you covered it all.
All right. So with that being said, let's hop right into our betting card. We each have six guys, and I guess I'll kick things off here. Jake, I'm going to lead way here with, I hit a Canadian here last season at 120 to 1. This one's not that deep, but I'm going here with Corey Connors as my first play at 35 to 1. I'm a little upset with myself because when I loaded some odds early on, the DraftKings and nature that come out early. He was at 45 at one point, and I was like, well, I'm waiting for some other books. He might, hit 50 at one point, and FanDuel and all those guys took about 12 years to give us some odds, which didn't make sense. So yeah, he's down to 35, and I'm fine with playing at 35. I think this is a great course for Corey Connors. He's playing some excellent golf. Last season on the tour, he was 12th in tour in 125 to 200 in proximity, 21st in hit fairways, 24th off the tee, 39th on approach, 42nd in par fours, 44th green relations, 97th birdie or better. The list goes on. The putting here, 148th in strokes gained putting Bermuda, not ideal, but last season on the PGA Tour, he was 67th overall in strokes gained putting. So that's a little bit of a light in the dark there. He last appeared at the Hero World Challenge where he finished seventh in a long, and although he missed the cut here last season, he placed 57th in 2024. He placed 12th in 2023, 11th in 2022, and 12th in 2020. So some good course history despite a missed cut last year. I like the way his game matches up very well for this golf course. And history has proven that Canadians know their way around Hawaii. Who would have thought? So Corey Connors, 35 to 1 is my first play.
Yeah, Nate, I'm on with you. I'm on at 40 to 1. And like you said and mentioned, when I was going through, the stats for this week, it felt awfully familiar to Nick Taylor's profile last year where he had a bunch of good starts. And I thought there's a ton of meat on this bone. I
Oh, yeah.
expected him to open at, high 20s to low 30s and, to be able to snag him at 35 and 40. I think those are great numbers on him. He ranked 30th in my model, so didn't necessarily pop, but he was one of those names that I'm like, there's too much meat on this bone to let this pass. So I'm with you on Corey Connors. I'm excited for him this week, and I hope that he can get it done and follow his fellow Canadian Nick Taylor into the winner's circle.
This is also a golf course, as I previously mentioned not that long ago, where the model isn't the end all, right? You're going to need some course history here, and again, you run your model and you take some looks back at some past results and find yourself through there. So this isn't an end all be all at 30th in your model, with some decent course history as well.
Yep.
All right, then who's your next play, Jake?
Yep, my next play here is going to be Kurt Kitayama at 40 to 1. He ranked fifth in my model this week, and he is not a player that I am on very frequently, nor does he pop in my model very frequently. So I paid attention to it. I'm going to listen to my model here. What do we know about him? He has elite irons, like very, very good irons. Um, he doesn't necessarily have the accuracy off the tee or the putter that I'm looking for, but I think I weighted irons so much that he popped significantly. And also, the off the tee and the putter seemed to come around towards the end of last year. So I baked in some recent history there for him. And that's why he ended up popping. He's made the cut in 3 or 4 starts at this event, highlighted by a T24 back in 2024. Again, I'm just hoping that Kitayama can rely on that approach game where he ranked 32nd last year on the PGA Tour to get him over the finish line. He also ranked 12th in off the tee, 17th in strokes gained total, 39th around the green, and then 148th with the putter. So again, just try to catch some heat with that flat stick and rely on the irons.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Kurt Kitayama, when it comes to pure iron play, there are very few players better than him in the entire world. It's everything else that comes along with golf that kind of troubles him along the way. But a recent winner on the PGA Tour, I say recent, this has been months at this point, but does have a victory as of somewhat recent, right? Within the, couple months. Either way, this is a golf course that requires strong iron play through and through. We mentioned it. You're laying up off the tee. You're taking some decently length mid irons to long irons on approach and all of that. So, this is definitely a golf course where a guy like Kirkadiyama can definitely pop off, as I'm sure the rest of our picks are going to be kind of similar when they're built.
Yep.
All right, so rolling into my next guy, I'm going Mac Meissner at 65 to 1. And no, it's not a fall series event where I typically would play someone like Mac Meissner, but of course, had a great FedEx Cup fall, placed 18th in his last appearance at the RSM Classic. Prior to that, 27th in Utah, 27th at the Bay Current, 14th at Sanderson Farms, and 47th at the Procore. We want to look further back. He also placed second at the Wyndham Championship towards the end of last season. So it's a great stretch of events there, dating back to the end of last season a little bit. Finished last season on the PGA Tour, fifth in scrambling, 23rd around the green, 37th on approach, and approximate hole for 125 to 200, 42nd on par 4, 43rd in strokes gained putting Bermuda, 85th green regulations, so on from there. Off the tee, not the best, 138th there, but he's played this event once prior, placing 21st a season ago. So we got a guy here that's a very good iron player, an elite scrambler. So he's not going to drop many strokes. If the times get tough here, the winds pick up. He's scrambling to save par. He does it with the best of them. He's excellent around the green, 23rd, top 25 the PJ Tour a season ago, a top 40 iron player from both an actual standpoint of strokes and approach and pucks in the hole for 125 to 200. So I think this is a great lineup here with Mac Meisner, 65 to 1.
Yeah, another guy that I'm on with you, Nate.
Oh,
He
okay.
was one of my favorite plays this week, honestly. I had his name circled. He came up second in my model this week. Everything you said, just one thing to add. We don't, we had mentioned this prior, but we don't tend to see first time winners at this event. So that is something to take with a grain of salt. But at the same time, if there were to be one, I really like Mac's chances. He fits this course really well, and I can see it happening for him this week.
For sure. And to keep this kind of going correctly, right? So we're at three people for you. We're at two for me since there was some crossover there and we bounced back and forth. So I'll just roll on my next guy to keep it kosher because I think you have six and I have six as well, Jake. But yeah, Mac Miser is definitely a great play in my opinion, as we're both on him. So two for three, I guess, so far for our picks. Well, at least for me, we're two for two. I haven't got an original pick in me. We'll see if this one's next here at Emiliano Grillo, 80 to 1. And, a mixed bag of results of this golf course over the past few seasons. Missed the cut last season, but a seventh in 2024. Missed the cut in 23 and 22, but placed 47th in 21 and 21st and 20. So this is a guy here that last played at the Worldwide Technology Championship, where he placed 56. Prior to that, 27th at the Bay Current, missed the cut at the Sanford Farm, and then a fourth place finish at the Procore Championship. Finished last season 18th and hit fairways, 42nd in par fours, 43rd on approach, 46 in proximate hole from 125 to 200, 61st in green regulations. He's 62nd off the tee, 76 in birdie or better, 94th in 16 putting Bermuda. And it's really the around the green game that gets Emiliano Grillo in trouble, 164th there. What I do like about him though, but we're already into the 80 to 1 range. This isn't a polished player, especially in a field like this. But either way, this is a guy who is a very accurate driver of the golf ball. He's going to find the fairway. He comes with capable irons, a top 50 iron player on the PJ Tour a season ago. In terms of approach and proximate hole from 125 to 200. He gets the green regulations off the tees and a problem. Gets some birdies and is a decent putter in Bermuda. So I think the storm is perfect here for Emiliano Grillo. Again, not a first time winner of the PJ Tour. If you were to get it done this week at 80 to 1, I think there's a lot of meat in the bone there.
Yeah, I like the call, Nate. He finished fourth in my model, and I didn't land on him this week. Probably should pay more attention to it considering he was fourth, but I like everything you said. He's has the ability to spike in all areas of his game as well. More than one stroke per round with the putter, on approach, off the tee, due to his accuracy. All of that combined with some solid course history, highlighted by a top seven in 2024. I think that's a really good play this week.
There we go.
All right, so moving into my third, fourth, third,
Fourth.
fourth,
It should be
third,
fourth, hopefully.
fourth. Yes, fourth play. Number one in my model this week. Hold your breath. It's Rico Hoey, 50 to 1. We know everything about him. He is elite off the tee. He is elite on approach. And oh my God, is he horrific with the putter, like painfully bad with the putter. But that being said, he's going to pop routinely because of how good he is in those other areas. He finished third off the tee last year and eighth on approach. Those are insane numbers. At face value there, he should have won multiple times last year. It's kind of like the Scotty Scheffler from a couple years ago where like everything was insane and then it came to the putter that was just not good. Take that putter, multiply it by two, it's double not good for Rico Hoey. If by any chance he can catch any sort of heat on the greens, I think that he has a really good chance of winning because of how good the other areas of his game are. So at 50 to 1, I think that's a big enough number for me to take a shot on.
Yeah, again, he's going to pop in your model every week because the irons and the off the tee stats are that good. They are elite. It's that putter is so bad that even at this point, I just can't get behind it, especially at a golf course like this where putting has been,
Yep.
historically so valuable in winning this golf event. But again, this is a guy who's going to come out here guns ablazing off the tee on approach, and it's just mind blowing that he can't figure out a putter in the slightest. But we'll see if a few weeks off here got him right, and maybe he found a new putter that suits him well, and he can get a few to drop that he normally wanted, and that'd be the difference here for Rico Horta to finally lift that trophy in the PGA Tour.
Yeah, your words to God's ears.
All right, so let's see. I'm on my fourth guy now, and this is a guy I'm really excited about. And maybe he's like my Rico Hoy. This guy pops my model quite a bit, and that's Lee Hodges, 100 to 1. First click this week. He finished 12th on tour in greens in regulation a season ago, 13th in scrambling, 16th in par fours, 23rd on approach, 39th in both hit fairway and proximate hole for 125 to 200, 62nd in birdie or better, 74th around the green, 78th in strokes gained putting Bermuda, and 92nd in off the tee. Last appeared at the RSM Classic where he finished fourth, and he finished 10th here a season ago. So a perfect storm for Lee Hodges, coming off his best performance of the season, arguably the RSM Classic, with a fourth, a top 10 here a season ago, and some stats to back up everything here at 100 to 1. Let's finally get it done, Lee, because keep taking my money from me.
Yeah, Nate, not much to add there. He's your guy. You just got to stick with it and hope he pays you off at some point this season, hopefully.
There we go.
All right, moving into my fifth play is Matt McCarty, 66 to 1. He's going to be awfully popular this
Mhm.
week. He ranked 18th in my model, but he was a guy that I had circled for this event since he joined the PGA Tour and won on like his second career start or something crazy like that. After he got that win when he burst onto the scene, he compiled a bunch of good finishes after that. That being said, I believe he played this tournament last year. He made the cut but finished T65. I'm not all too concerned about that. He finished 45th in strokes gained total, 86 off the tee. A lot of that was gained off of accuracy and not distance. 116th on approach, 75th around the greens, and then 17th in putting. Like you just mentioned, putting has been very important to success here, and McCarty is a guy who is going to hit the fairway and make his putts. And it's a little bit of a rare instance where I'm kind of hoping he gets hot with the irons versus the putter for him to get it done this week. But I like his chances, and this would be his second career PGA Tour victory if he were able to get it done in a very, very short amount of time.
Yeah, think back to the Utah Championship, whatever it was at the time, where he got that first career victory. He is a very talented golfer, of course, bouncing up from the Corn Ferry Tour straight into a victory on the PGA Tour, and it would be a second victory, as you mentioned, for him. But this is a guy that I've seen left and right on betting cards across the spectrum of the betting space. So it is a very popular play, but one that is popular for a reason.
Yep.
All right, my next play is one that won't be popular. In my heart, it is. It's Tom Kim at 130 to 1. I know last season Tom Kim was atrocious, and it was not to the standard of Tom Kim's golf that we have come to know and love. You know, played the Bay Current Classic his last appearance, 56th there. Also 11th at Sanderson Farm, 72nd of the Pro Tour. I'm not going to go on about his stats because last season was not the season that we would have expected out of Tom Kim. I think he may have done a bit too much with like the TGL stuff, and he had some good start to the season. He had a decent performance uh, at Pebble Beach. And this is a three-time PGA Tour winner before he was even like 21 or 22 years old. We know he can come around as one of the better iron players in the entire world of golf. I just think a reset button was needed for Tom Kim. And at 130 to 1, this is still a pure talent play, right? This is like when we're playing Zahith Theegala the other fall. I know that nothing suggests that he should be on a betting card, but it's just pure value at 130 to 1 because if it were to click in his mind and things were to be right after having, months of golf off since playing the last time of the Bay Current, that's, quite a bit of time in between now and then. Maybe he got himself right. Maybe he found a new swing, something like that. Where at one point, if you think a few years back, he went from being one of the shorter hitters on tour to being, plus distance, where he got more club head speed and all of that, hitting the ball as hard as Scotty Scheffler does off the tee. I I guess I'm hopeful, right? That Tom Kim can come out here firing, but again, just pure value at 130 to 1, and I guess we'll see what happens with it.
Yeah, he was one of those names that like when I was scrolling the board, like Connors was the first one on my list where I was like, this feels like too big, and I was able to pull the trigger. But then as I got down the board, you see names like Tom Kim, Tony Finau, Sahith Theegala.
Yeah.
These guys a couple seasons ago are in the 20 to 40
Hmm.
range every tournament, and now they're 100 to 1. You know, a fresh start, like you mentioned. I cannot fault anyone for taking any of those three guys at the odds that are on the board this week. You had mentioned, I mean, Tom Kim has an elite short game. He could be premier with his irons. It just takes a reset button. What do we know? Like he can rattle off a couple wins to start. South Koreans also tend to play Hawaii events very, very competitively. So I like the call on Tom Kim this week, and I love the number even more.
There we go.
Final play here for me is going to be Gary Woodland at 90 to 1. He's a guy that I always gravitate myself towards because he'll pop in my model, and then I think to myself, it would just make me happy if Gary Woodland won in general. So why not be on him with some money? But he really ended the season on a really high note, in my opinion. Um, and even when I was looking at his total strokes gained data last year, I was impressed with these numbers. 63rd in total strokes gained, 48th off the tee, 36th on approach, 177th around the green. That is dead close to last,
Yeah.
but 45th putting. So if this guy could just hit the greens, he's above tour average in every other aspect of his game. He's played this tournament 10 times in his career, where he's finished top 25 times. So the course history is there. If he could put it all together, it would be such a feel-good story, and I'd love to see Gary Woodland across the line. But more importantly, I think 90 to 1 is a big enough number to take a shot on.
Yeah, in the world of golf and just pure golf fan, and we all would love to see Gary Woodland cross that line again. So we'll all be cheering for him. And again, you talked about it there. In a pure strokes gained data in a vacuum, he matches up very well. And again, you mentioned the around the green game is rather atrocious. And 177, I think it's 180 qualified. So people worse. But again, you mentioned it. Just hit the greens, and everything else will carry across the finish line this week.
Yep.
All right, so my final play here is what I'm really excited about, and that's Adam Svensson at 200 to 1, another Canadian here. Let's get him across the finish line. 30th here in 2025. He was 20th in 2024, 41st in 23, and 7th in 2022. So some great course history here for Svensson. He has not been too good as of late, which you could probably assume with a 200 to 1 price tag. Missed the cut in both his last two outings, the Butterfield Bermuda Championship and the RSM Classic. He did place 21st at the Worldwide Technology Championship, however. Finished last season 29th on tour around the green, 38th in hit fairways, 39th in green regulations, 40th in proximity the hole for 125 to 200, 57th on approach, 86th in scrambling, 124 in par fours, 133 in strokes gained putting Bermuda, 145 off the tee, and 157th in birdie or better. Again, this isn't it's not like it's Adam Hadwin or something in terms of a relationship with Nick Taylor, but it's another fellow Canadian. I'm sure they spent some time together at one point, maybe a point or two has come across. But this is a guy where it strictly was more so course history that gravitated me towards him, and 201 was just a massive number. I just could not leave that out there.
Hey, Nate, it worked for you with Nick Taylor last year, so why not try it again with Adam Svensson this year?
Let's get even a bigger number. Why not? All right, Jake, anything to add here about the Sony Open Hawaii before we move forward?
No, I think we covered it all.
There we go, guys. Excited for that one, of course, kicking off the PGA Tour season. And it's a great way to start because it's Hawaiian golf. So, what's that, 5 hours behind us here on the East Coast? So, we get
A big
home from
deal.
work, get settled down, get in, get our dinner and sit on the couch, and we have golf to watch until the evening, which is always a great way to start the season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that. It's the best.
All right, we have the DP World Tour returning. They have started their season. They have 5 events under their belt with their quote unquote opening swing already underway before the holiday break there in late December. Now we're onto the international swing with a start here in the biannual Dubai Invitational. The last time it was held, of course, in 2024 was the first time, and it will be held every other year moving forward. It is hosted at the Dubai Creek Resort in Dubai, of course, UAE, and it was also held there in 2024. This is that uh, golf venue that is known for its sail-shaped clubhouse. I'm sure anyone has seen a picture of it along the way. Uh, this is also a pro-am, so 60 professional golfers of the DP World Tour and 60 amateurs will be teaming up for the first 3 days, and then Sunday just features the professionals at this point for a traditional 72 stroke play event. And again, it's an invitational, so it is just that. No shortage of star power this week. World number two Rory McIlroy leads the charge. He was one of two runner-ups 2 years ago to eventual winner Tommy Fleetwood, who was also back this week as a Dubai resident at this point. We will also be playing this week other notable non-DP World Tour golfers, you have Patrick Reed, Nikolai Højgaard, Shane Lowry, David Puig, Tom McKibben, Ryan Fox, Patrick Harrington, and Thorborn Olsen. Of course, a strong DP World Tour contingent will be in attendance as well. You have Jaden Schapper, a two-time winner already this season, Thriston Lawrence, a recent demotee from the PGA Tour, Martin Coover, one of the big names I watched this year, Eugenia Shakara, same way. Nick Norgard, a demotee, Ewan Ferguson, Marcel Sim, Angel Ayora, Jacob Skovalassen, among others. And of course, being held just once prior, Fleetwood is the only former champion to be teamed up this week. The championship course at the Dubai Creek Resort in Dubai, UAE, plays a par 71 at 7,009 yards. Opened in 1993, it has staged two editions of the Dubai Desert Classic in 99 and 2000. Also staged two editions of the Dubai Creek Open on the Asian Tour in 1996 and 1997. Fairways feature this week are undulating and water is constantly a factor. There are a multitude of man made lakes along with the creek, of course, which the venue gets its name from. The creek itself comes into play on four holes. Dubai Creek Resort is carved out of the desert, and the fairways are lined with palm trees. Golfers will have to not only navigate the multitude of water hazards, but a ton of bunkers as well. The greens featured this week are described as quote unquote magnificent, and as this event lines out to be a birdie fest, any hopeful winner will be need to set themselves up on the greens to go on to win. As most desert tracks do, it plays with a links feel to it. Those who have experience on link style will see an event this week. Along with water and bunkers, the desert wind is, of course, one of the main lines of defense for this course. If the winds are to pick up, the course dries out and scoring becomes much harder. With that being said, those who get out to an earlier lead do see the advantage at this type of venue and course, not only this one respectively, but desert golf in general, because the winds pick up, you have more foot traffic, you have more players out there. They can't maintain it as regularly as they would throughout the day when it's just open to the public, or I guess this isn't a public course. But either way, it's going to dry out and make things harder. So those who can jump out to an early lead will see an advantage this week. Jake, anything to add before we move forward?
No, I think you covered it all.
There we go. I think you mentioned you have three guys this week, Jake.
Yep.
All right. I have four, kind of three with a rather long shot here. So I guess with that being said, I'll kick things off here. I'm leading my card here with Big Bad Shane Lowry at 17 to 1. He last played the DP World Tour Championship where he placed T11th. Prior to that was the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship where he placed T12th, and then a T3 at the DP World India Championship. Finished last season third on the DP World Tour on approach, seventh in grid relations. He was 20th in birdie or better, 21st in scrambling, 27th in bogey avoidance, 60th in putting, and 70th off the tee. Did not play this event in 2024, but this is a guy who's been flirting with victories on the PGA Tour and DP World Tour all last season. It's been a very long time since he's won on the PGA Tour or DP World Tour, so it's about time he crosses that finish line. This is an event that kind of seems like he can come out here and play well at. It's a link style feel. He's out here with buddy Rory having a good time. Maybe a bit of competition between the two, and maybe he can finally get across the finish line. But I think in a 60-man field, Shane Lowry at 17 to 1 with some other names around him has some meat in the bone to lead my card.
Yeah, I love the call for all the reasons you said. He's been knocking on the door all season long. It's been a little bit of time since Shane Lowry's been in the winner's circle, and I think that this is a great opportunity for him to do so. There were a lot of names 20 to 1 and under
Mm-hmm.
that were really, really interesting. Lowry was one of the last ones that I had to cross off my list, but I went with a 20 to 1 player here, Desert Golf Master himself, Nikolai Højgaard. I think he's going to be
Yep.
super popular this week. When you think of desert golf, you think of the Højgaard twins and just how well they play it. He was on the PGA Tour last year. It was a bit of a mixed bag where he had some good finishes, which largely came not in the United States, which is to note. But was missing cuts in the United States, had some good mixed finishes in there. But his last three starts, a T14 at the Bay Current, not in the United States, and then at the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship, he finished T3. And then at the DP World Tour Championship, he finished T11. He did tee it up at this event in 2024, where he finished top 25, which, with a 60-man field isn't all too impressive. But again, it's a guy who plays desert golf super well. I got 20 to 1 on him. I was happy to snatch that number up, even though there were a lot of interesting names in the teens. I elected to go with the biggest number I can find.
And I can't doubt you for that. Nikolai Højgaard, you mentioned it plays desert golf so well. It wasn't that long ago when he was on the DP World Tour where he, won the DP World Tour Championship in the desert in Dubai and took it down with, the Rory McIlroys, the Tommy Fleetwoods, those type of guys surrounded him and, did it in dramatic fashion. So again, can't doubt you there.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the stats that I had put together, but second in driving distance in 2025, fourth in sand saves, which is going to be huge this week, 48th in average putts per round, and then 19 strokes average. So again, a lot of boxes checked there for him.
There we go. All right, the next guy here, this is our crossover here on the DP World Tour, Jake. Daniel Hillier at 40 to 1. What number do you have him at?
I got him. I closed out of it. I think 45. Oh, no,
Okay.
40. I got him at 40.
Okay, yeah, I was late to the party this week. But either way, Daniel Hillier, 40. And, This is a guy who most people would classify as being on a quote unquote heater. He placed T6th in his last outing at the Crown Australian Open. Prior to that, T5th at the BMW Australian PGA Championship, T16th at the DP World Tour Championship, and T5th at the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship. He played this event in 2024 with a T36. Again, not all that impressive with a 60-man field. So on the early season so far on the DP World Tour, he is second in bogey avoidance. He is third in green regulation, seventh on approach, ninth in scrambling, 15th in putting, 17th in birdie or better, and 41st in strokes game off the tee. Recently shows that he can play desert golf rather well with the performances there at the last two events in the DP World Tour playoffs a season ago. Insane start to the season. Of course, being New Zealand and playing being a New Zealander and playing Australian golf is kind of a bit of a home field advantage there. So take that as you will with those two Australian events, but just insane golf a lot across the last few months on the DP World Tour. And again, this is a guy that has been knocking the door a few times through the latter parts of the last season on both the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour. We'll see if he gets it done this week in the desert.
Yeah, the DP World Tour is one where you just try to catch the hot hand here, and I think that Hillier is the
Yeah.
prime candidate for that. Again, if he's going up against Fleetwood or McIlroy on Sunday, I am not sitting at the counter waiting to cash my ticket. But at the same time, if those guys kind of play themselves out of it, he is scorching hot in every aspect of the game with some insane form. It would not surprise me at all for him to get it done. I was happy to take him at 40 to 1. And Nate, I'll let you go back to another play here since I've only got one left.
Yeah, so I'm gonna bounce back here to Dan Bradbury at 90 to 1. Early season, right? So these stats, take them as you will, but through a few events in the DP World Tour season so far, he is first on tour off the tee. He's ninth in bogey avoidance, 11th in approach, 16th in scrambling and green regulation, 17th in birdie or better, and 70th in strokes gained putting. Placed T62nd in his last outing, the Alfred Dunhill Championship. Prior to that, he was T2nd at the Nedbank Golf Challenge and T13th at the DP World India Championship. Also placed T30th here, so about dead even or center of the field in 2024. This is a guy who right now is killing it off the tee. He is first in terms of that. He's avoiding those bogeys and has some great performances, including a T2, the Nedbank Golf Challenge, which is a pretty good field of, being a limited field event as well, just as this one with some big names around. And we saw the Victor Hovlands of the world and those type of guys playing that event out there in South Africa early on last year. Or not early on
Yeah,
last year, early on this season, which was late last year.
yes. Bradbury is one of those guys that when he's in form, he puts together a couple of good starts in a row, and I think that this is a good time to hop in on him and to try to catch that win that he's a two-time DP World Tour champion. It's not like he hasn't been in the winner's circle, and I think that this is a good opportunity for him.
There we go. All right, finish this off here, Jake.
Yep. So my last play here is going to be Ryan Fox at 40 to 1. A little scary because he is super wild off the tee, but all things considered, he's long off the tee. He has those elite irons that we could be looking for, and his short game is pretty solid. He can get absolutely scorching hot with the putter. In his last 25 starts, he has two outright victories, the Myrtle Beach Classic and then the RBC Canadian Open. He went back to the DP World Tour at the end of the PGA Tour season, where he finished T46 at the BMW PGA Championship, T14 at the Open de France, 39th at the Australian PGA Championship, and then a 14th at the Crown Australian Open. He played this rendition of the event in 2024, where he finished T14. And early in the 2026 season, he ranks 12th in greens and regulation, 20th in driving accuracy, which is bonkers. It might just be two rounds, but he is not an accurate driver. But I'm
No.
willing to hang my hat on maybe he found something with the driver and he could keep it in the fairway enough times for him to score here. 30th in stroke average and 81st in putts per green in regulation. Again, a long-winded way of saying I think that he's a premier talent. I think that he can compete with Rory and Fleetwood if it comes down the stretch. I don't think he's scared of those guys like Hillier, per se. But again, I thought 40 to 1 was a big enough number to take a shot on old Ryan Fox here.
Yeah, way to discredit Hillier when he had that lead at the Abu Dhabi and blew that in the final day. But either way, yeah, Ryan Fox, you're talking about a guy 40 to 1 in a 60-man field who can very well win this golf event. He was a two-time win the PJ Tour a season ago, and you talked everything about it right there. I think this is a guy who, he rolls the ball extremely well on the greens. He's a very, very good putter, maybe even underrated in my opinion. But it's just the accuracy off the tee. If you can kind of tone that down, not find the water, not find the sand, and get himself into some better prime positions, he's going to be a threat to win, no doubt about it.
Yep.
All right, so I have a really long shot here I'm going to throw out here, and that's Sean Norris at 200 to 1. Just could not ignore that number for being the tour's best putter. He was the best putter on the PJ Tour or the DP World Tour a season ago, and he's currently first on the DP World Tour and putting again. The problem is he's super short off the tee. He is, has some other stuff here. He's fourth in both birdie or better and bogey avoidance, 10th in scrambling, 16th on approach, 47th in green relations, 71st off the tee. Over his last two outings, though, although again in South Africa where he's from, second at the Alfred Dunhill Championship and fifth at the Nedbank Golf Challenge. Love to see that, but this is a guy that, you know, it's a birdie fest. But what does birdie fest boil down to? A putting contest. 200 to 1, taking the tour's best putter. A few cents on the dollar here to make a lot back. Might as well do it.
Yeah, I can't fault you for that at all, Nate. Let's get a hot putter and let's get Sean Norris across the line here.
Yeah, come down on Sunday. We have Sean Norris trying to output Tommy Fleetwood or Rory McIlroy or Nikolai Hogart or Shane Lowry to win a title. Let's do it. It'll be thrilling.
Magic.
All right. Well, that's it for the return to the 2026 PGA Tour season and the resumption of the 2025 DP or 2026 DP World Tour season. It's going to be a good one, Jake. We have a lot to look forward to. Again, Brooks Koepka's back in a matter of weeks here. We have Hawaii, then we're back to California for a bit, and soon enough we'll be at, our signature events with Pebble and all of that coming right around the corner. The Genesis back at the Riviera after a year off last year. Want to see that happen. It's going to be a great time, Jake, and it's going to be a great season for the Outer Rough.
Yeah, Nate, I'm seeing Masters commercials already.
Oh
The
gosh.
blood is flowing. It's almost April. We're almost there.
Yeah, we're watching football basically, right? And you're getting once in a while that Masters commercial comes across and you hear the noise, you see the green come on the screen, you're just itching for it. You're just itching for it. And it literally will be here before you know it, right?
Yep.
I think it's less than 100 days at this point away.
Yeah, just crazy.
All right, Jake, one more time, where can people find you on social media?
Yep, you can follow me on X at JakeOOTR, where I share all of my outright betting cards. I'd also encourage you to join the Out of the Rough Discord. Again, completely free to join with no hidden paywalls. The community includes 250 plus members and is an excellent tool for you to have at your disposal. Reach out to Nate or myself, and we can get you the link to join that.
There we go. You can follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at NateOOTR. Be sure to visit our website, ootrough.com. And until next time, guys, I'll see you.